Welcome to the Exciting and Nude Podcast, episode number 005. I'm Jason.
And I'm Andy.
And I'm Brian.
Well, let's get started. First, we're going to go with the original air date of this episode was October 15th, 1977. Our three little stories that make up this episode are Message for Maureen, Gotcha, and Acapulco Connection. Let me read the IMDb.
Based on those descriptions, I'm not even sure which story is which. I'm kidding, but
yeah, I think. So here's our IMDb description for this episode. Our tennis pro Maureen Mitchell, played by Brenda Benet, runs into sports writer John Ballard, played by Bill Bixby, who defamed her in his column. Then we have Cyril Wolfe, played by Uncle Milton Berle. He annoys his wife Anita, played by Audra Lindley, and fellow passengers with constant practical jokes. We'll get into those practical jokes a little later.
Oh, and better.
And our Mexican April Lopez, played by Charo, stows away in a laundry hamper in this episode. Some of the key or some of the special guests for this episode are Brenda Benet, who I mentioned there, who was the wife of Bill Bixby.
Were they married at this time?
Yeah, because I believe she was married at 21, so yeah, she married him young. It looks like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Milton Berle, who I mentioned, Audra Lindley for her second appearance. She was in the third pilot, so I guess we can technically say this is her second episode if you want.
Sure.
Or
she's been on the little boat twice.
She's been there twice, yes,
as a different character.
And we have our first out of 10 appearances by Charo.
Yeah, I was shocked when I saw 10. That's crazy. I really have to say that Charo is really someone I have no idea about. I mean, I remember.
And she's still alive. You looked her up. I believe you said she's in her 70s, I believe, right?
Well, yes, maybe. Because one of my...
Parts unknown?
Well, she's from Spain, actually. She's not from Mexico. But in her Wikipedia page, it describes her as she's known for her uninhibited and exuberant manner, heavy Spanish accent,
Cuchi, cuchi, cuchi.
the catchfitphrase "cuchi cuchi," and her vague age. And apparently, like there are, she was either born in 1941, 1947, or 1951, depending on. Like, there's a lot of was it her birth certificate from Spain, her immigration paperwork to Mexico, or her, I guess maybe passport, something like that. But nothing matches. And apparently, she lied about her age to get married, which I think was the plot of a Jim Carrey movie. But
there's probably an episode of The Love Boat also. We'll find out.
It might have been.
Maybe season 3 or 4. I'm not sure.
I just like the fact that one of her things she's known for is her vague age. That is a really weird thing to say.
Speaking of what she's known for, like, can you name anything else that she's in that she was like a star in?
No.
Other than, like, this is obviously was a guest starring role, right? So
I looked her up and I was like, that's why I was kind of like, do I even remember who she was? I remember her being on this show.
I think that's all we know her from is this and maybe late night TV. Maybe
was she like a Johnny Carson person?
I think she might have been a Carson regular possibly. Or
I feel that she was known for nothing but being on the Love Boat. But
that's good. I mean, I should have looked a little further into her, but I mean, I was wondering if I had known her from anything else, but I think that's all I can really remember from it.
I think she was a
Coochie.
She might have been a game show person too back in the day. Maybe
a Hollywood Square.
Maybe Elmo's been on Hollywood Square. I guess anybody can be a Hollywood Square.
So a little more trivia on our special guests this week. Bill and Brenda, I mentioned, were married.
Now, they weren't married before. Oh, wait. Bill and Brenda, the real people.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm sorry. The characters that they were playing
the characters were Maureen Mitchell and John Ballard. So they knew of each other because he wrote about her tennis. Do
we want to get into the episode here? Do we want to start doing that?
Yeah. Why don't we do that? We'll get right into it. First, would you recall any Titanic jokes this week around?
I did not see any Titanic jokes, and or I didn't hear one either. No Titanic jokes. Isaac didn't appear until the 27th minute of the episode.
We're starting to get a little nervous halfway through the episode, and no Isaac.
What are they doing here? What's the point of him even being on the show at this point? I know eventually he becomes a much more important part. We're looking at the wrong episode.
Yeah, this is the wrong episode.
Loretta Swit and what's his name?
Richard Mulligan. I was like, I don't remember
them
this.
Again this week. There we go. Maybe
Milton Berle. There you go. Yeah,
Milton Berle. He is an interesting character on this show.
He is. Okay, so we're going to get into the opening scene here. We have Mrs. Roper, who I'll call her throughout this episode, most likely, because that'd just be easier for everybody to know who I'm talking about.
You've said her real name twice at the beginning of this. I still couldn't even tell you what her real name is.
Audra Lindley?
Yeah. Mrs. Roper. That's
Mrs.
fine.
Roper works. So we'll go with that. And so we see them coming onto the boat, and this is where we learn that Mr. or Uncle Milty is a practical joker.
Is that like his job? He kind of says like it's his life.
Is he like a comedian?
They never really get into what his actual job is. So he
starts off with the severed hand gag in the beginning here.
Shakes Julie's hand, and it's a dead hand or fake hand, maybe.
It made me think of one of my favorite Mitch Hedberg jokes was when he said the perfect stocking stuffer is a severed foot.
Oh, good Lord.
I always like that one.
Now, they shake hands with this other couple, a reverend and his wife. Which,
yes,
I guess you can be a reverend and married, right? I don't know. And this guy's somebody. I don't know who he is. He's been in something.
I looked him up a little.
I mean, he's like either like been in other sitcoms or an Adam Sandler movie or something like that. But he's a guy that looks very familiar to me.
So let me pull him up here.
He gets the old joy buzzer handshake, and
his name's Britt Leach.
Britt Leach.
His top 4 on IMDb: Weird Science.
Oh. He's Gary's dad.
Al Wallace.
That's exactly what he's from. Weird Science. Who's this Gary character? Yes, that is who that is. All right.
The Great Outdoors, Silent Night, and The Last Starfighter are his top 4 IMDb.
What is he in Last Starfighter?
Mr. Potter.
Jeez, that I don't remember. But as Anthony Michael Hall's father in Weird Science, that is
that's
exactly
what it got me. As soon as I saw that, and that's his number 1 on IMDb, too.
It's exactly what I remember him from.
Yep.
So anyway, Audrey... whatever her name is.
Lindley.
Okay, Mrs. Roper says, you only have him for 10 days. I've had him for 20 years. So I've had it for 20 years.
I'm
really shocked.
Cruise.
These are 10-day cruises. They don't seem to be going that far that this takes 10 days.
And this one, we don't have all the destinations. I did get the Acapulco is one of the, and
someplace I've never heard of in Mexico.
Maltazan? Am I saying that right?
I don't even know. They said it a couple times. I was like, I've never heard of that.
It'll come up. It's in my notes here. I just have to find it. Yeah.
Brian's
Maltazan. Mazatlan. That's a city in Mazatlan.
Okay.
Brian, have you been there? We'd love to be there one day.
So after Mrs. Roper leaves, we meet what's her face? The woman in the wheelchair.
Brenda is her real name.
And
but,
she's a tennis pro.
Maureen Mitchell is her name.
She's a tennis pro who hurt herself. Did they ever mention what is hurt on her?
I was wondering that too, because we don't see her walk at all either, right? She's in a wheelchair the entire episode, correct?
We never see her walk, but they keep talking about her playing tennis, so I assume that's like a knee or an ankle or something like that. She hurt playing tennis.
They do mention that it's her knee that's getting operated on, but we don't know exactly what happened.
I'll never walk again, or there's a comment that she'll never walk again. I was like, from a bum knee? Listen, as a person with bum knees, you can still walk. It's not pretty, but you can still do it.
It hurts.
It hurts. Yeah, so they never actually, I don't think, say why she's in the wheelchair. Unless I missed it, I just assumed that it was a tennis
I didn't get
injury.
anything on that. Brian, did you get anything on? I didn't hear anything on why. It's just that she was a tennis player and that she needed an operation. Yeah.
So she's in a wheelchair, and Gopher makes her drive crazy through the thing because apparently, why not? You're in a wheelchair, drive crazy.
Why not take the celebrity tennis player and push her around like she's
especially in these 1978 wheelchairs. My God, I mean, like they look like they're made out of paper. You could just turn sharp and someone's going to come flying out of them. Terrible. So anyway, she comes on board with Gopher and she meets the captain. All is well in the world.
Yes.
Sorry, did I catch you?
Sorry. I was reading my notes and then I was looking at the screen at the same time. I apologize. But so this is where we meet Gopher not where we meet Gopher, but this is where Brenda then leaves to go off and bon voyage everybody. This is my favorite.
So last week we did not have the confetti throwing departure scene,
no,
but
who's Bill Bixby waving to out there? I mean, if I took somebody to the boat,
I know who he's waving to.
Who do you think he's waving to?
Mr. McGee.
Yeah.
You don't make him angry.
I was just going to say, don't make him angry.
He's going to say goodbye to him. And he now walks to his cabin and he basically trips over
his old friend Nemesis, almost, I guess.
Ex-girlfriend.
Because they've had a little past, I guess. They didn't really go too much into that. But
now this woman is so thin-skinned because he said, she's like, you did a hatchet job on me or something like that. And he says, 6'Love, 6'1" is not a hatchet job. That's terrible. When you're a pro tennis player and you lose 6'Love, 6'1", you are not good or you didn't have a good day. So whatever he said was probably
that's losing in straight sets.
Yeah, that's
I
really
I heard
bad.
that on ESPN before.
If I had ever watched tennis, I would know what that is. But that's not good. So whatever he said about her was probably justified.
Yeah.
He probably said this chick can't play. She does mention she wants to get back and play against Chrissy Everett, though, at some point.
Chrissy Everett did get that.
She got to throw a real person's name out there.
Dropping names out there, yeah.
So anyway, I guess they fight here about...
Yeah, because she made a comment, too, about she didn't want his column. She didn't want to read his column anymore. She would only use it to wrap fish. Oh, yes. So basically, she would take the newspaper
for
and
all the times that you're wrapping fish. Brian, how many times have you wrapped fish?
I did that this week.
Did you really? See?
Flounder.
See?
I've never wrapped a fish in my life. I've wrapped it in cellophane, I guess, and throw it in the freezer. I've never wrapped it in newspaper.
I didn't use newspaper.
Yeah, find a newspaper.
Wrapping paper?
No, I use cellophane.
I have the Trentonian delivered to my door every Sunday for some reason. I don't even read it. I put it right in the recycling.
They still do that?
I don't ask for it. It's getting sent to me. All right. So anyway, enough of the nonsense. So Milton Berle and Mrs. Roper come back to their room.
Yeah, she's pissed off.
Now they don't show the antics. He said something about spilling wine on the captain's suit.
Yeah, it was a dribble glass.
I'll buy him a new suit. Oh, is that what it was? Okay, so he says he'll buy him a new suit.
She said most people aren't happy when you're using a dribble glass on a $50 bottle of wine.
Yeah, and so I don't know why we don't see that.
I thought that would have been funny.
Isn't this supposed to be a comedy show? You would think you'd see that.
We see the hand buzzer and then the snakes in the can joke here instead of the dribble glass.
But I really thought that was a missed opportunity for, first of all, seeing the captain's table again, because, if you're a guest star on the show, you're automatically at the captain's table. Because he said that when he met them, he's like, I'll see you at the table tonight or something like that. So anyway, I just thought it was very weird that they didn't actually show the prank that he played on the captain. So.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about it, but that was perfect. They should have given us a little taste of the jokes. I mean, the jokes that they give us aren't as great as that one could have been.
Maybe they couldn't get the dining room set this week. They were just like, we can't film there. Sorry, we have to film in all the rooms. We have to film in Doc's room. This is the most we've ever seen of Doc's.
This scene I thought was a little weird too, because Gopher brings Maureen Mitchell, our tennis pro, into Doc's office, and she says her doctor wanted her to give her reports, her medical reports there to the doctor on the ship, which I still don't understand what's that needed for.
Yeah, like let me consult your chart, please. If you're a person that has been injured and you're awaiting an operation
Salino and Barnes,
fix if you want to get yourself fixed so you can play tennis again, why are you taking a cruise? Why aren't you waiting for your operation? Because at the end of this, spoiler alert, she basically has to fly to Houston right at the end of this episode.
Yeah, after they get back to L.A., she's flying to Houston for her operation. Like, I would have been in Houston getting ready.
What's she doing a cruise for right before this?
Maybe take a road trip to Houston instead of the
there you go. Anyway, so as she's doing this, Bill Bixby walks in, limps in because he's hurt his knee playing tennis. Did they say how he sprained his knee?
He just opened the door. He said, "You're the doctor, right?"
I mean, this guy, he sprained his knee doing whatever, and he'll be in a wheelchair later. Like, that is a crutch at
What
best.
also makes this a little crazy, too, is like, so she gives the reports, but Doc knows her doctor.
Yes.
He went to medical school with him. So, again, it's a small world.
Small world.
Here.
Well, maybe amongst doctors, that makes sense. So Bill Bixby's on the examining table here now, getting his leg wrapped, and he'll be in a wheelchair later for a sprained knee.
Yeah, and Doc basically tells him you're probably going to need a wheelchair too for the next couple of days to stay off of it.
Did he say that?
Because he says stay off of it. And he says okay. Points at the wheelchair.
But still, that could be crutches. You can stay off your knee with crutches, and you can get around a lot easier. Having done wheelchairs and crutches are the way to go. You can get around,
especially on a boat. I'm thinking,
I mean, boats. Even today's boats, the hallways are narrow. You're not getting down. Two wheelchairs are not getting down a hallway together. So now they're in Acapulco. They've docked in Acapulco, right? And this is when
where they're getting ready to leave Acapulco, right? And then, or after this is when they head to Mazatlan.
But now they're in Acapulco, getting ready to debunk, and Charo ends up on board.
Yeah, she's selling hats.
Well, she's selling a bunch of like Mexican knickknacks, I guess. Because I think Gopher even says, like, I've got enough. She
has to support her family. Do you know who her family is, who she's supporting?
Well, she said 17 brothers and sisters or something like that.
I'll see if you have the correct number there. Yes, 17 brothers and sisters is what she's looking to take care of.
I think my grandfather was one of 17. He was at least one of 14. Maybe I'm making up 3.
My mom's one of 11.
17's a lot, man. And the joke is, what does your father do? And she's like, I just told you, or something like that. Yeah. I guess.
Here's another scene with the
having sex is what he does for a job.
The housekeeper's location. Again, this is where John Ritter was changing.
How funny would it have been if you saw like a John Ritter wig or dress hanging in there? Like he forgot to take it with
remember
him.
He lost his clothes. He couldn't find him that one night. If she found him.
So she's hiding in the laundry basket there. And the first thing I thought about is that's a great hiding spot for like the first 2 seconds. In 1978,
and she brings her guitar.
No phone, no anything to do. Like, so now you're sitting at the bottom of a laundry basket doing what? Staring at the wall, staring at the side. I thought about that. I was like, maybe hang outside until you hear someone coming and then you jump into the basket. I don't know. It was very silly.
Yeah, there's no need to be all the way underneath there. I mean, I would think he would get very warm in there as well, but that's just me.
Very silly.
So the next scene we have Julie and Gopher walking out onto the deck area, I guess, or not really the deck area, but just like the
lobby or
lobby, and there's $100 bill on the ground.
Which by 1978 standards, that is like that's
what's
real
that?
money.
What's that equal to nowadays?
That's real money back then, $100 bill.
But it turns out
I'd do the same thing for a $100 bill nowadays. I'd do that for a 20. I'd be like, oh, 20, let's go.
Uncle Milty is doing the old $100 bill on a fishing wire trick, yes. And is Stubing not noticing what's going on here? Like, did he not see Uncle Milty? Is that what happened here? Or
no, he didn't even know it was on a string.
He just picks it up and puts it.
Yeah, he thinks that the kids, Gopher and Julie, are running after it, and he just basically how about if that was like Gopher's $100 bill that just fell out of his pocket, and he's like, nope, I'm taking this for the Christmas fund. So anyway, Mrs. Roper comes out and breaks the string, and he keeps it. Well, I guess he keeps it once she says it's his, Uncle Milty's. And Uncle Milty now is disappointed that his joke cost him $100.
That was a very expensive, not even a great joke. I
mean, these are like fourth grade at best.
Again, makes you wish you would have seen the dribble glass.
Yeah, well, but that's also a fourth grade joke. These are all not even middle school practical jokes. These are the first practical jokes you learn.
Would you have fallen for the hand buzzer one? Obviously,
I'm sure. If I'm going to shake someone's hand, I'm not going to know you have a buzzer. But still, why? Dribble glass, dollar bill on a fishing line, like so dumb.
Not necessary. Yeah, it's just not.
They're like the day one of practical joke class. Practical jokes. These snakes in the can thing that his wife opened up her.
The snakes. I've never experienced that in person. Like I've seen it like on TV shows and just like, but never. Yeah.
I don't think that's really a thing. I don't think that's.
Where do you buy that?
That's one of those things that's never actually happened in the wild. It's just on TV and you see it and you're like, oh my God, the can with the snakes. But no one's ever actually fallen in real life. Yeah. It's always like, here, open this can of nuts, like just a random can of nuts.
You actually open it up and it's nuts.
Yes, well, it shouldn't be. It should be the snakes.
Okay, so then our next scene we have. I thought was interesting as well. It's an elevator scene, which we've been having a lot of elevator scenes.
I was having flashbacks to Sherman Hemsley and Esther.
Yes.
On this, I was like, are they going to get stuck on the elevator? Are they going to spend the whole week in wheelchairs on the elevator?
Well, this was interesting too because you have Bill Bixby coming around a corner. He can't really take the corners that well because he goes right into the wall.
Because apparently he's right-handed and that affects you.
And she laughs at him.
Yeah, this is
she basically gives him tips on how to get into it's elevator 101 on how to get into the elevator with a wheelchair.
By the way, as we're watching this, I can see the boom mic shadow. I just saw it in the corner of the scene there.
That's great.
That's silly. But is he wearing like a safari outfit? He's khaki from head to toe.
Yeah, that's a khaki shirt, button down, khaki pants.
He looks like he might be
like he missed the elevator.
An Indiana Jones prototype here with many, many pockets up top there and everything. So stupid. So now they're both getting on the elevator. She had to tell him to back into the elevator. I wonder what the handicap.
But does she have that much experience on a wheelchair? She's only she's like it's not like she's a tennis pro. It's not like she's in there every day, right? So
we don't know when her injury occurred. So we don't even know what the injury is. So we don't know how long she's been in there. But I wonder how handicap accessible cruise ships in 1978 were. I doubt they're very.
Yeah.
I mean, getting on an elevator, anybody can do that, but she's probably not getting onto the deck where the pool is. So anyway, they're reminiscing about the good old days.
Kind of like it's like the opposite of what we've been having lately, where it's a lot of bickering. These two are like, hey,
they came on bickering and they're already reconciling. You can tell where this is going by the second time they were seeing each other.
This I thought was interesting. Little curveball. Julie's in Captain's office, and she's like, hey, you know what the the passengers of this boat would probably like? A crew night, us putting on a show.
I forgot what this was. I forgot what was happening here. I didn't.
I saw you looking at me
that.
like, "What's he going for?"
I didn't even remember that. That's what happens in this. Which actually, when it comes up, I really
because there's a quick.
I misread that whole scene.
There's a quick line here too where he tells her that he's not Soupy Sales. He's the captain.
He did say, "I'm not Soupy Sales." That's right. Good reference at the time, I'm sure. Now we meet the most angry maid.
Can we go back real quick first, though?
Sure.
Because he said he wasn't the captain. He was Soupy Sales, or he's not Soupy Sales. He's the captain. He says he doesn't sing, he doesn't dance, and he doesn't tell jokes. And then she asked him, juggling oranges.
Oh,
and now
I missed all of that.
And I wanted to open that up to what do you think of when you hear juggling oranges? I know what I think of when I hear juggling oranges.
Oh, are you going to talk about like Cesar Romero getting oranges thrown at him?
Yeah, I was going to see if Brian knows that story about Cesar Romero. Cesar Romero was quite the
Latin lover,
but he was known to he would have a bunch of young boy toys, like young guys hanging around with him, and he would stand in a bucket. Some say it was a bucket of like maybe a couple inches of water, and he would pull his pants down, and he would have these young men throw orange wedges at his ass.
What, that is the weirdest fetish. Did we talk about foot fetishes before in this podcast?
Foot fetishes may have come up maybe on our second podcast.
Oh, okay, because that is so weird. Foot fetishes I can almost understand compared to like just having people throw things.
But how do you get to that whole set? Like, this is really great, but you know what's missing? Then he's like, okay, so we're gonna throw oranges at his ass. Okay, but you know what's really missing? I need to stand in 2 inches of water. I really need that water.
I guess. I mean, he lived to a ripe old age, so he must have experimented for many years on what he liked.
Yeah, I mean, I like that he never shaved his mustache for his
even when he was the Joker. Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm sorry. Back into.
I didn't know that. Can the captain juggle? Do we decide that he cannot juggle, or
I don't?
He can't sing. Dance,
I don't think he can
juggle.
I don't think he can. Yeah.
Every once in a while, you get a little old school Steubing where he's like the stick up his ass kind of guy. He's a little stick up his ass in this episode, more so than he's been the last couple episodes.
Yeah, and then he always seems like he's about to go off, and then it usually goes to the next scene. But here we get Charo. First off, you wanted to mention something about the housekeeper. I interrupted you.
Oh, I mean, she's like the angriest housekeeper ever. She's
very, very mean. Yes.
Yeah, and so
she's from Green Acres.
Oh, is she really? I've never seen.
Oh,
Green
all right.
Acres,
I know of Green Acres, but I didn't look it up to see what she was. Was she a main character? Like
she was one of the wacky townspeople.
Those wacky townspeople. So Charo is hidden at the bottom of the hamper here, and like asleep or whatever. He's almost like holding her up as if she can't hold her own weight up.
Yes, and this is also where we find out April's name and what it actually is. Would you like me to?
No, you don't even. I know all the letters mean something. APRI.
But do you want me to say it?
Sure, man. Why not? That's what we're here for, right?
It's Algolina, Patricia, Ruiz, Inex, Lopez.
Okay, there we go.
April.
Doc will say later. He's like, I can't wait to see the rest of the months, or the rest of the year. Or something
I can't wait. If that's April, I can't wait to see the rest of the year. I thought that was a pretty good line from the Doc.
So anyway, Steubing has told her he's going to let her off at the next stop. She just doesn't know that the next stop. She thinks it's going to be
America.
She doesn't know the next stop is going to be in Mexico still. So
will be Mazatlan.
Yeah, a place I've never heard. She's from. They said where she was from. I was laughing. Oh, whatever. Doesn't even matter. Go on. I'm thinking of something else.
Well, she was begging. Well, she was not begging, but she was excited because she thought she was going to be going to America. And then I guess this is where
her birth town in Spain is Murica.
Murica, Spain?
No. Murcia. It's not Murica. Sorry. I'm half illiterate.
Murica sounds a lot better.
I know. When I saw it, I was like, is that really a place in Spain? Murica? Or are you from Murica? Anyway, so what happened here? He tells her she's getting off at the next stop. Now she finds out it's Mexico. Now she's not happy. She'll play for her.
Plays a song, and then Steubing then calls Gopher to have Gopher take her to Bricker.
And all Julie does is stand around smiling, giggling and smiling, holding her clit.
Julie was like, Julie welcomed her onto the boat. I was like, she's a stowaway. And meanwhile, like Steubing's yelling at her, and she's like, "Welcome aboard, April."
So Charo is ambiguously aged 25 to 45 here. I'm not quite sure if she was born in 41. She could be. I'm not sure if she's a attractive older woman or a slightly unattractive younger woman. I'm not really sure.
Just graduated high school.
I'm not sure what she is. Be like, wow, she's pretty hot for 45. Is she really hot for 25 though? I don't know. So now Captain calls Gopher, who's a very big Bogey fan. He's got many Humphrey Bogart posters hanging in his cabin here.
It seems odd just for a boat. On a boat. I mean, I know
also,
it's
Humphrey Bogart is by this. I don't even know if Humphrey Bogart was still alive at this point. That's like us having pictures of Humphrey Bogart hanging around. Yeah. I mean, that's so strange. I always find that funny when people have, when young girls these days have like James Dean posters hanging in the room. Like, James Dean has been dead since before we were born. What kind of reference do you have to him other than he was an attractive guy? But there's no attractive guys nowadays you can hang a poster of that are still alive.
They could at least put a Paul Walker now. Too soon.
If you need to put a recently dead guy up there, sure. But I find it weird that he's got Humphrey Bogart pictures hanging in his wall in his. He's got a big giant, just Humphrey Bogart smoking a cigarette picture, like not a movie poster.
So April is now in Doc's office, and
and why is she here? Why'd they bring her here? Because this is the prison for the.
She was complaining of stomach issues.
Oh, right. He says, I got something for seasickness. She's like, I already got seasickness. I want to get over seasickness.
And Gopher said something. He's like,
he did say,
we have a funny patient here. Yeah. And he said that's why we brought her. Or Doc says it's a funny patient, and he said, and Gopher says that's why we brought her to a joke doctor.
Right. Yes. But bump. Zingers all over the place. Oh yeah, where's your little? There you go.
There was also an Allstate joke here.
There was. You're in good hands. I'm not Allstate. Yes. Little. There it is. Right there. It is. He's got his hands cupped out. This is Allstate. So now they've left this young or old woman with the Doc, and he basically bars the door. And he's a
horn dog.
He's a predator. This guy. And you've left this woman alone with him. This is scary.
I had a quick note here. I'll pause it just so you can see. Look how high up Milton Berle's pants are in this. I just thought that was like.
Well, he's an old man.
He's
got that old man tuck going, and the pants are above his belly.
I think she asked for his wallet. He reached over his shoulder into his back pocket.
Oh, that was terrible. Now, explain what's going on in the scene, because this makes absolutely no sense.
Okay, so I have here in my notes, they come back to the cabin. She's embarrassed by his hijinks, basically, from what he's been doing. She threatens divorce here.
And again, now we have not seen them since the last time they were back in their cabin. They're not showing any of his practical jokes. They're always showing the post-mortem on everything where she's complaining about what he's done instead of actually showing. They're telling.
So they're
always show, don't tell. But
so they're complaining. She's complaining about him and all his silliness, and now he tells her to sit here and not.
Hang on.
Here.
Not yet. Something else is going on.
Something happens first? Okay.
Well, yeah. Something's going on here that I need to know what's happening here. I'm very confused as to what's happening here.
He's putting on makeup.
He's putting fake eyelashes on, upside down, on his eyelids. And he's putting, is it a clown nose on both of his lips? So he's got big, fat, red lips.
Yes. But it's supposed to look like lipstick lips or something like that, I guess. Like,
to what end? Is he doing this just to impress Mrs. Roper?
This is just for her, like, because there's nobody else there for this joke. You're right. Yeah. So now this is where she stands up and she's pissed off at him and she's complaining. And this is where he tells her, sit here, not there, because.
I just don't understand why he's putting the eyelashes on.
So she ends up sitting in the chair where he told her not to sit.
Well, they do the double reverse. Oh, no. Don't sit here. Sit here. And she's like, well, I'm not listening to you.
She sits there and she falls through the chair.
Which,
now,
really, that could have hurt you.
Yeah.
As an older woman,
he comes back, he comes out, and then to add insult to injury, his line here to her was, as he was helping her get out, he said, you put on weight, dear.
Oh, I missed that. How did she allow him to live through this? Is it his 18-inch thingamajiggy he's got going on?
I was waiting for somebody to bring it up.
Yeah, we haven't
finally.
Maybe that's why his pants are up so high, because he's got to tuck that thing in somewhere.
That's what's holding his pants up.
It could be. It could be. We're finally seeing the
that's his belt.
dining room. They did get the dining room set because now Bill Bixby and the tennis player are eating dinner.
Yes,
in their wheelchairs. It's a sad dinner table. You never want to go and hang out at the table where everybody's in a wheelchair. That is just sad. You're like, yeah, something bad happened here.
But they do have goo-goo eyes for each other, and then Steubing and Julie come by to say hello, basically.
Probably because they can't get to the captain's table because there's probably steps involved. And
there's probably like There's a lot of tables there.
Yeah, they probably can't get there. So the captain has to actually make the effort to go over and talk to them because he's like, listen, I don't like you people at my table, so I'll just come over and say hi to you.
And then they do a toast to tennis, typewriter, and true love.
Because he's a sports writer, right? Yeah. This is when they're discussing. Are they already discussing getting back together again?
There's some talk of that.
There's a discussion when they're talking about why they never took the month off to just bum around.
Yes.
And it's like the World Series, Wimbledon, the Super Bowl, Davis Cup, and they're just bouncing back and forth between sporting events.
If it wasn't her tennis match, it was him
writing, covering a sporting event. Yeah.
After this scene is where we get our first taste of Isaac.
Now, this woman here, let's talk about her a little bit here as Jason takes down all the microphones.
Yeah. Well,
we haven't really talked about her yet. So she's the one person in this cast of, all the main players are pretty well known. Bill Bixby obviously was the Incredible Hulk.
Yes.
And, Milton Berle and Mrs. Roper. We've already talked about them a lot. Her name is
Brenda Bennett, Benet, maybe Benet.
And she was married to Bill Bixby.
In real life, she was married to Bill Bixby, yes. Her top 4 IMDb, she's known for Walking Tall, an Elvis movie, Harem, Mannix, and she was in The Incredible Hulk. She played Annie Kaplan in The Incredible Hulk.
Was following Bill Bixby
Days
around.
of Our Lives. So she's been she's had Fantasy Island, Wonder Woman. She's had a little bit of that.
But she met an unpleasant end, right? Very young.
She did.
I mean, Bill Bixby met an unpleasant end too, but he was older. But he died of prostate cancer or something like that. Yeah,
correct. She died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
Yeah, I read her story. Very sad. Her son died young, and then she died soon after that. And it was that Bill Bixby's son?
Their son died young, I think in 81-ish. And then I saw something where they were falling out. So they were starting to suicide by gunshot. I had a whole little article here. I should have taken a screenshot of it, but it would have just made it more sad. But it was very sad, like you said. She seemed like she was a very depressed person to begin with, and just
her son dying didn't help. So we brought that in the podcast in the middle here. I just wanted to acknowledge that.
I'll read this quick article, paragraph. Brenda retired from the business in the mid-'70s to raise a family, and in late '74, she gave birth to a boy, Christopher Sean Bixby. Tragically, Christopher died in 1981 during a winter ski vacation in California. It was believed that this and her divorce from Bixby were the events which caused Brenda's life to spin out of control. On April 7th, 1982, Brenda went into the bathroom of her West Los Angeles home, lit and arranged some candles in a circle on the floor, and lay down. She then placed a Colt .38 caliber revolver into her mouth and pulled the trigger. She died instantly.
Oh, listen, that's awful.
And next week on the Love Boat.
Yeah,
I mean, it's sad.
I'll make fun of a lot of things, but I'm not going to make fun of suicide.
I won't make fun of that either. I mean, just the fact that Bill Bixby had a sad ending to his life as well, but anything you see him in, kind of like he seems like there's like always a sadness to his characters, almost like.
But now it said she retired in 1974 to raise a family. Yet this is 1978, so she didn't really retire. She just, I guess, stopped working as busy as she had been. Yeah,
let me check. Let's see what came out. She only acted in 39 things.
I mean, she's attractive for sure. She's the kind of person you would think could have a career.
It doesn't. It just looks like one-offs here, like an episode of this, an episode of that. She was in 371 episodes of Days of Our Lives. So that's
probably years. That's probably years of a soap opera, right?
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Well, is it on every day? Is a soap opera on every day, or once a week, or
every day?
Every day. So 300 and something episodes is actually not a lot. It's like maybe a couple seasons because
they have breaks.
Do they? Oh, okay.
But that's like also like a pregnancy on there instead of 9 months is 9 years.
I did read that what Days of Our Lives, whatever, that she was a very hated character because apparently she broke up some popular couple on the show.
Oh, on the show.
So she must have gotten like terrible fan mail because people are assholes and can't separate reality from a TV show.
You figure back then that's what it was, probably just hate mail sent into the studio rather than social media.
Well, it's probably worse now because if you have a Twitter account, you can't get away from it. But back then, at least your publicist or something will just give you the good ones.
So they love you. Here's all your fan mail, all 2 of them.
Oh, wow. 2 people like me. I'm happy about that. Yeah, burn all the rest. But that's really sad.
Yeah. Very sad ending to her short life. Yeah.
She was young, like what, 35 or something like
that. She was 36. Yeah.
So anyway, they're in the episode. They're reconciling now. They're talking about the good old days.
Yes, and this is where it comes up, like I think where they mentioned the month off and everything,
right.
So all that stuff and why they didn't do that and how they kind of want to do that now.
I hear that kid in my headphones. Is his voice coming through your
The
microphone?
kid's coming from inside the house.
Believe me, sometimes it feels that way.
I hear it, but I don't hear it to the micro. I think I could hear
Is
it.
it?
I think he's
no. Maybe I just hear.
Yeah,
it.
I don't know if it's coming through. I don't see him spiking up.
This girl's definitely got a little Marissa Tomei thing going for sure. Like when I was looking at her just before, I thought
I could see that.
Marissa
Yeah.
Tomei. Anyway, now we're back to the crew. Isaac making his first appearance of the episode.
Julie talking to Isaac and Gopher here about basically the.
I wanted to see the
I keep calling it the
timestamp.
talent show, but I don't know if you would call it the talent show or just the show that they're going to put on.
And if I was Isaac or Gopher, I'd be like, listen, I'm the purser or the bartender. I'm not here to like sing and dance. It's not my gig.
Yeah,
like,
I'll serve drinks during the
do I get
show.
paid? Do I get paid extra for this? I mean, like, come on. Although going back to Gopher's room, his Humphrey Bogart room, that's the first time I think we've seen anybody else's room. Like we've never. Well, I know we've seen Doc's and the
Steubings,
captains, but the way the crew live.
And we really didn't see Doc's. We just saw his office.
We've never actually seen his.
Room.
We've never actually seen his bedroom because he's got the waiting room, then the office, and then he's got his bedroom off the side, his lair where he drags those poor women to their untimely end. So so now Julie is conning these guys into being in the talent show. I guess, right? Is that what happened here?
That's basically what they're talking in and to go. Trying, I think it was figuring out what they were going to do in the talent show as well too.
And now, Julie found out that
runs to Doc.
Julie just found out that they left the girl Charo with Doc, and she's like freaking out now because
she assumes that Doc's doing.
Listen, we know Doc's MO. Like she's probably right to think
Doc
this.
answers the door in a robe too.
His Hugh Hefner robe, going like hello. I'm surprised he's not smoking a pipe or something like that. So she's like, where is he? Where's her body? Can we give her a proper burial at least? And he slams the door in her face. He's like, I'm getting busy in here.
Yeah, and then Charo comes out, or excuse me, April comes out with a pillow and blanket for Doc to sleep on his examining
table, which is about 3 feet long. So Doc's a rather tall guy. I mean, he's above average height.
Yeah, from the knee down is basically going to be hanging.
This guy will be crippled tomorrow morning. He'll be with the wheelchair people, riding around with the wheelchair people. Because listen, if I slept on that thing, I'm not walking for a week after that. I will be crawling out of that place.
It did not look comfortable.
I mean, there's no empty rooms aboard the ship that Doc can just be like, yo, Julie, hook me up with an empty room. You know, you don't want me to rape the girl, so you got to get me as far away from her as possible. Get me a room on another deck or something like that. Because Doc can't be trusted. Like, Julie's okay with, I'm going to sleep on this bed here. Yeah, sure I am.
Are you?
Yeah, but so poor Doc, he's sleeping on the examining table.
So we're still in the same, the scene goes dark, then it comes back. Charo comes into where Doc's sleeping on the examining bed or table. And
where'd she get pajamas? Or is this just her outfit now?
Is that just a shirt?
I don't know. Maybe it's one of Doc's shirts he gave her.
Possibly, yeah.
Like a sleeping
shirt. So she wakes up Doc.
What's up, Doc? Oh, sorry.
And Doc's topless.
He is sleeping shirtless on that examining table. You know what those things feel like? You know, that is just flesh on sticky vinyl. Just the
thought of that. Yeah.
He's ripping when you
go to the doctor, they put on that piece of paper.
Yeah. The paper.
It, you know what I mean?
So he's got the, he must be like, ow. And she makes comment like, you know, is it the same way all the way down? And he's like, no, at one point, two legs branch off or something like that.
I thought he was going to say his third leg, but then it didn't get that far. Charo's kept it wholesome, so it was nice.
Again, Charo looking really good for 25, maybe not 48. So good for 45. Very confused by her because I'm not sure how old she is. I mean, if she's 45, she's hot. If she's 25, she looks a little haggard.
And then Doc basically just gives her like a pep talk saying, hey, your family's happy for you no matter what you're doing for them, you know.
Is that what's going on here? And now she's hugging and kissing him, and Doc's like, now we got something going on under this blanket here.
So Doc basically was a gentleman.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I can't make him a complete predator. It's a family-friendly show, even back in 1978.
True. I mean, but sometimes you just want to sit around and hear Doc stories from back in the day when he was a little.
They need to do a Doc prequel. What he was like? Was he like in the Navy or something like that? I don't know. Gopher was in the Navy, right?
Yeah. We could do like an origin story for Doc Bricker
when he's in med school with what's her name's doctor?
Yes,
the guy,
Maureen Mitchell's doctor.
Yeah, so they'll be doing.
I think his name was Irv Haywood or something like that. Earl, maybe.
They're up to no good at the medical school that they went to. The Springfield upstairs medical school or wherever Dr. Nick went.
When Charo's leaving the dock, she says, rest in peace.
She does say rest in peace, which is awesome. I'm going to say that now from now on when I'm saying goodnight to somebody. Rest in peace. I've never thought about that. Rest in peace. That's awesome. And, we've glazed over or not even talked about her broken English and how, listen, she's Spanish born, raised in Mexico. Her English
Mexican,
is, and I mean, she was raised in Mexico in real life, so her English isn't great, but she definitely butchers some words that they make fun of.
Her English ain't great. You got that?
Her English ain't great. Her English ain't good, and they make fun of her on multiple occasions for her saying things incorrectly. I'm not saying that in any judgmental way. I'm just saying it's funny how once in a while she'll say something. I can't remember any specific examples at this
rest
point.
In peace.
Rest in peace. But she messes up words. Like she'll mess up phrases, and they'll say, what? But whatever. It's all good. I'm sure there was a warning at the beginning of this episode saying, this episode was filmed at a time when the culture was at a different place, and like that Rita Moreno Muppets episode where
they went all in on that.
Well, I was watching that. That was the first episode of the Muppet Show when they put it on the Disney Channel, or Disney Plus, and I was watching it, and I, an insensitive bastard, was like, this is a little rough here.
And you're Spanish too, right?
Well, maybe of Spanish origin, but really, I was shocked how. Listen. Rita Moreno was in on everything. She was the one saying all the stuff, but it was very cringy at points.
Yeah, it was almost, like, how far are you going to go here?
Well, Kermit would say something like, what'd you say?
Kermit the Frog here.
You'd say, what? I can't understand your Spanglish or whatever.
I watched the Paul Williams episode the other day. It wasn't bad.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's for the Muppets podcast. Coming soon. We're doing podcasts for nothing that's come out in this century. Hey, so now the anchor.
The boat is anchored.
That is the first time we've actually seen the anchor.
And there it is, Mazatlan.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I've never heard of this town.
I had that
Mexico.
here.
Is this even now a town?
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if this is actually a town anymore. This might have been taken over by a cartel 30 years ago. It's not even a town anymore. I've never heard of it. So now this is where they're getting rid of Charo, right? They're telling her she's got to get on a bus here and ride back to Acapulco.
Yeah, this is where she's getting off of Mazatlan, and this is where she's supposed to leave, and everybody's sad for her here. And Doc said it was nice having her in my bed, having you in my bed.
And now she kisses him, and Julie's uncomfortable
but then Julie had to get a kiss too.
That's all right. I'm sure Doc's thinking, going like, all right, let's get this going here.
Julie, if you could come back to the room again later this evening.
So they're. Now they're checking out Bill Bixby.
So, he had his bandage removed from his knee, so he's ready to walk around. But Doc does make a point, no dancing.
No dancing. But no crutch or anything. So it just went from wheelchair to nothing.
Yes, it was just...
He didn't need the wheelchair. If he can gimp out of there, he didn't need the wheelchair to begin with. And now Doc gets a call from her
Maureen's doctor, and Bill Bixby is eavesdropping.
He doesn't leave the room quite yet, so he hears... the entire conversation.
Doc should have made sure that the room was empty.
May I have the room, please?
This is HIPAA laws here that are being broken, right?
Was HIPAA around in 1978?
I was just going to ask you
I'm not sure if it was.
I don't know if it was, yeah.
But he does say something about doctor confidentiality.
Yeah.
He's like, you're not supposed to have heard that. That's confidential.
Yeah, so what Doc talks to her doctor and says something along the lines of, we really don't know what's being said. It's just that the operation isn't going to happen.
I guess they're saying that the operation's not going to happen because there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
And at that point, I'm thinking like, I guess she's just going to have like a bum knee for the rest of her life. But then they say she'll never walk again.
Walk again, yeah.
I was like, what happened to this woman? I've never heard of a tennis injury where it renders someone paralyzed or unable to walk. This
is where then Bill starts asking Doc. He wants to be the one to tell Maureen because he loves her.
And Doc says, no, it should be, I'm a doctor. It should come from me. And
then this is when Doc throws the book away about patient, or I guess the doctor-patient.
So does Doc agree that he should be the one that tells her? Is that what happens here?
Does Doc says, because that's why Doc says, okay, I threw the book away.
Oh, okay. Is that what? Okay, gotcha. So he says that he'll tell her.
Yes.
This seems going on for a long time. I guess it's the argument of
No,
Who
yes,
gets to tell?
no, yes.
I'm going to tell her. No, I'm going to tell her. No, I'm going to tell her. Who wants to tell her the good news that she's never going to walk again?
Oh, me.
Maybe we should get a better wheelchair. I mean, that thing is
Maybe an electric
crap.
one, right?
Did they have those back in 1978?
Again, another good question.
So anyway, Bill Bixby leaves. He's gonna tell her. They're escorting Charo off. Oh no! Sorry, they're getting back on the boat now. After
Yeah, they're getting ready to leave. This is where they're leaving Mazatlan. Yes,
and she's hiding behind a fruit basket. I thought she was going to do the Carmen Maureen. Who's that? Who's Carmen with the fruit on top?
Carmen Miranda.
Is that Carmen Miranda? Okay, yeah.
Where in the world is Carmen Sandiego?
That's right.
So now
one. She
sneaks back onto the boat here. How?
Well, there's no security.
Gopher
Listen,
and
there's
Isaac.
She walked back on the boat anyway. There's no passport checks. There's nothing going on here. They're just letting people on the boat.
How she was on earlier when she was selling the hats made no sense
because
too.
This is pre 9/11. No one cared about anything back then. You could just walk to and fro wherever you wanted to go.
And she shows back up in Doc's office again, and he basically told her to keep trying, and she tried again. She basically got back on the boat as a stowaway. So this was her way of trying again.
Which is funny because they escorted her off, and then she got right back on at the same exact port that they were at. It wasn't like she caught them in another port, or it was the next time the boat was in that port. It was like, no, I got off. I went and got a fruit basket, and I got right back on.
And it doesn't take her long because Doc ends up letting her stay in the room there again with him.
Well, Doc's no dummy. He's a doc.
Well, he's some sort of dummy. He did sleep on that table.
And now he's thrown. And now he basically throws her in his office. He's like, "Get in there." He's like, "You escaped and you came back. Now you're not getting away."
Bill then arrives at Maureen's cabin, and it seems like he's going to tell her all about what he overheard in Doc's office about the operation.
Right. But that's not what goes down at all.
No, Bill basically tells her how much he wants to stay with her and be with her and wants to marry her.
Right. So now they've reconciled.
This is where she brings up Chrissy Everett.
Is it? Okay. Yeah. She wants to face Chrissy Everett again.
Yeah, because she said she was going to need somebody to be there for celebration or something. I think.
I mean, Chris Everett must have been extremely young at this point. She must have been the up and comer because this is post Billie Jean King. Billie Jean King was like early 70s.
Yeah.
Like I remember as a kid, it was Chris Everett and Martina Navratilova. Those are the two of them.
And who was it that Jim Rome kept calling Chrissy?
Jim Everett. Jim Everett, he kept calling Chris Everett.
Yes.
The quarterback for the Rams.
And he went after him.
Yeah.
That's great.
Such a jerk move. I hate Jim Rome so much.
Oh, yeah. Total dick. Yeah. Okay, so we get this. So, again, he doesn't tell her that they can't get married or that they can't have the operation.
He doesn't tell her that she can't have the operation.
He tells her that he wants to get married. And
right, yeah.
And she agrees. She wants to get married. That's where the scene ends. So he does not tell her the operation is off.
Now, can he never cover one of her events ever again? He can't unbiasedly cover.
I guess that's it.
The
Yeah,
next
I would
event.
think that. Yeah.
It's not gonna be like this broad sucked again.
He said, "Did you see how bad that was?" There you go.
All right, so now we were back to Milton Berle. We're finally seeing him outside the apartment the room for the first time.
Mrs. Roper is talking to Gary's father from Weird Science.
Who is this Gary
callback
character? And they kept his wife, the Reverend's wife here.
The kick me sign on both.
She looks so familiar, but I looked her up. She's nobody. She didn't do anything, but I kept looking her up because she looks like either like Happy Gilmore's grandma or someone like
even
that.
Something like an 80s mom.
Yeah,
or something
like she just
that,
looks like that, but she never did anything really. She was a kind of only a part-time actress.
So basically, Mrs. Roper was apologizing again for...
because the Reverend had a kick me sign on his back, because why wouldn't you do that?
But so does his wife.
Well, we don't know that
see
yet.
That
we don't know
minutes,
that yet. You're spoiling.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
So she apologizes, takes the kick me sign off.
Now, Uncle Milty's basically
He's stalking
3 feet away from them.
He is up on another level, but being able to see them. And now his next practical joke will be the stupidest thing that's ever happened on this show in the history of ever.
And this is changing each week. It seems like we have a new contender each week for the worst
He
moment.
throws his hat off and yells, "Man overboard."
Help.
from behind them. They hear from behind them.
But he did put his hand.
Oh, he cupped his
mouth,
hand.
so it made it look like he was throwing his voice.
And from a mile away, they can see his hat, and they say, "Oh my God, that's his hat. He must have fallen overboard."
So they're going to run off and tell
somebody. We
somebody,
stop
but
the
then
boat.
they're like, "No, it's not," because
they
know who it is.
They wise up, but really, this was just.
But then they're afraid that it's going to really be something, so they have to go. So they're going to go tell the captain or whoever, and they bump back into Mrs. Roper.
Yeah, because she comes back out now because she's going to tell them. There was a reason why she came back out to talk to them again, but I'm sure it doesn't matter. I'm sure.
Yeah, I don't think it was anything.
I'm sure her reason was stupid. So now we see that the wife has a "Kick Me Too" sign on the back.
Yes,
kick me and kick me too.
Now, him throwing the hat into the water, making you think someone was in the water. We had this happen 2 episodes ago with John Ritter.
And they survived. They
survived, but this time
they also fell into it when
they jumped right into the
when
water,
the boat was obviously in a bay or something like that. There were no waves. So now, and Mrs. Roper sees the "Kick Me Too" sign. She rips it right off without letting them see it.
And then out of nowhere, somebody says the only way he's going to understand is if he has the joke.
Right now, they decide
to him.
They're going to.
Which you think is something they may have done. Mrs. Roper would have thought of years ago. She's been dealing with this for 20 years, right? So.
20 years. So yeah, they're gonna get him back. Which they should. Yeah,
they're on board right away too, so they're all ready to go. Reverend and his wife.
I needed more backstory on the Reverend and the wife. Like, what are they doing here? Not that they can't also be there for the Love Boat, but we don't really get their individual story. They're just a plot device in Milton Berle's.
Yeah, we don't
nonsense.
have their backstory. Yeah,
and again, we only get to see them get practical joked upon. We miss all the other practical jokes. The brilliant mind of Milton Berle. So stupid. So now we're back at the Doc's office.
So we got Isaac, Gopher, and Julie are all in Doc's office, and they notice April's guitar.
Charo's guitar sitting there. He's like, "Oh, she left your guitar. What a nice memento. Yeah, like, here's a $400 guitar."
And they all want to tell Steubing except
Julie. No, they all
don't want to tell Steubing except Julie wants to tell Steubing.
Julie says no. She doesn't want to. She says she has to. I have to tell him. No, you
Why?
don't. No, you don't. You're the cruise director. You're not the police. You don't have to do anything.
You're the director of this cruise.
Is the cruise director in charge of that kind of nonsense? I really don't even know. Is it, Brian? You're an expert on cruising.
Our cruise expert?
The cruise director, he's like the main guy. He's like all over the place.
Yeah, but
you remember that guy? Carlos, I think?
No.
Does he know every passenger's name?
No.
And backstory?
Just the celebrities?
He's on the horn all the time. And
just the ones that they announce in the beginning of the cruise?
Everywhere.
When they put their names in the circle in the bening of the cruise?
But I really wonder if they have to be the one like dispensing justice on the cruise and stuff like that.
No, I don't think they do anything. They drink a lot.
Oh, there you go. Do you
the
think
cruise director drinks a lot? Is what
do you think there's like a jail on board a cruise ship? At least a holding cell or something like that? I wonder what they have to do if someone gets like rowdy, if there's a fight.
I'm pretty sure they have secure facilities.
Yeah. I wonder.
You would think there has to be some sort
Brian and I are going on a cruise together in March of next year.
What's the bet? One of you to get arrested? Or
well, I'd rather not have to get arrested to find out, but I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna ask the Julie of our ship and be like, we have a bet, whatever the bet is. We have a bet, and I want to know if there's a. Do I hear? I thought like I heard like a.
I see.
Yeah, right. I was like, is there a?
I saw a young boy just come down the stairs. I thought I saw a young Spider-Man.
Jason saw a young boy come down the stairs. I almost had to hold him back. So I'm going to ask on this cruise if there's any kind of holding cell.
You got a cruise coming up, you said, right?
March.
Okay.
March. We're cruising out.
I'm hoping you guys maybe talk to people. Hey, we got a podcast. If you guys like the Love Boat,
we'll be passing out. We'll be passing out flash drives with the Love Boat.
Well, we should be able to have a podcast on there. Well, you can zoom in. We'll have everything set up.
We could do this.
We'll do it on the deck of the ship. We'll walk around with our laptop going, look, here's the bartender, Jason. Look.
That one we might that might be a Patreon exclusive where we'll have video.
Sure. All 3 of our patrons. So I listened to
how are we making any money? It's like it's just my money, your money.
I listened to a podcast where it's a Marvel movie podcast, and they talk about they're British. They're both British guys, and they talk about their Patreon and the people that are the patrons that pay to their Patreon account. And I'm always like, why do they pronounce it Patreon? They talk about patrons, but then they call it Patreon. I don't know. It's one of those dumb things. It's one of those dumb things that annoy me. Like when people talk about their lease on their car, they're a lessee.
Like their Patreon saints.
Why aren't they a leasee?
Is that right? The Patreon saints.
Patreon saints. I don't know. I hate the English language.
So now Julie has to tell the captain, but the rest say we shouldn't.
Yeah. Well, no, nor should they.
Now Uncle Milty arrives back at his cabin. He's basically here to brag.
He's got a bottle of champagne. He's like, we're getting drunk because I told people I jumped off the boat. They think I'm dead. That's his joke.
So he finds a letter here, and it looks like it's a letter from Mrs. Roper, basically a suicide note that she no longer could live based on
Uncle Milty throwing himself.
Uncle Milty not being around. Yeah, so she's no longer, and she has thrown herself off to be with him. He crumples up that letter.
She does say, I believe, to join him in his watery grave or something like that. Yes, it's
something very...
something out of a horror movie.
As he sits down,
to your watery grave.
Very sad and sorrow. They jump out of the bathroom and yell, "Gotcha!"
Gotcha! And then there is a still shot, zoom in on Uncle Milty's surprised face.
Gotcha!
And he's like, "Rrr?" And then they just freeze on it.
That's basically it for his story.
Is that the end of it? Oh well, there's one more.
There's a little bit more to it, but that's it. That's his story, pretty much in a nutshell.
There always seems to be one episode, one storyline that is so late on story. They only go back to it every 10 minutes. Or like, here's a minute, and then another 10 minutes. Here's another minute. But obviously the Bill Bixby and his tennis. Sorry, I forget her name. Maureen
Mitchell.
Yeah. So that's like the main story. That's the A plot.
Yes.
And the Charo plot is just slightly behind that. All right.
Correct.
So now here is my complete ignorance now.
Okay. So now first we have the crew night, and in the first act.
So she puts on a record player with the speakers at the record player, and that's going to be blasting across the deck, but whatever.
Yeah, that should be really loud inside there, I would think, right?
So Gopher and Isaac have these gigantic hats on, and I thought...
Made out of like paper bags or boxes, right?
I thought they had like paper mache heads over their body. I'm like... What's going on here? And then once they turned around, I'm like, oh, that's their actual like naked chest and stomach. I was like, I was like, how'd they get these gigantic heads already?
I guess their abdomen is their face.
Yes.
And so where their belt would be is
their
collar.
Their hat comes off, and you can see their belly buttons, the mouth, and
it's a very weird first act for a crew night.
I believe it's the only act. Well,
we have act 2. Yeah,
Charo's going to come up and play. So, yeah, it was really when they first started dancing around. I thought it was like almost like a paper mache head on these guys, and then once
Stubing gives the look here of he's so pissed off as he's clapping.
Look at the slowest slow clap ever. He is clapping once every 10 beats there,
and he is giving a hard stare to Julie. Yeah.
Now Charo in real life is a trained musician, a guitar player, and they zoom in so close on her right now that you can't even actually. I mean, this looks like
I was hoping to see some.
This looks like a person that doesn't know how to actually play, and they go zoom in on her. You can't even see her. I guess that's a
you
wide
got a little
shot.
Something there, the wide shot, and you can see that it looks good. Like she's playing.
I was really surprised that they didn't actually highlight her.
Followed with some of the worst lip syncing.
Yeah, total bad dubbing here. Totally bad. And
I like the bass player.
The bass player, yeah. Oh, she's got a rocking band back there.
Oh yeah, they were great. The crowd seems to love it. Stubing even is pretty happy. Shocked that she's that good of a singer.
Stubing is impossible to read, this guy. He goes from being, the angriest guy in the world to a fun-loving guy back to angry. Now he's back on board because now she's not got the guitar anymore. She's shaking her hips, and
Shakira.
Now all of a sudden he is like, look at him. His face is lighting up. Isaac and Gopher both have their hats blocking anything that might be going on there because
Doc Bricker's like, wait, this is the lady that was in my room the past couple nights?
And she's cha-cha-cha-on. Yeah.
Coochie.
Oh, coochie.
So
she gets not cha-cha-cha.
She gets a standing ovation.
Well, now she's almost doing a lap dance for the captain. She's like right on top of him, shaking it. Good for her.
Stubing wasn't going to not accept that lap dance, too. He was ready for it.
He was reaching into his pocket.
He pushed that lady next to him. He said, "Why don't you move over?"
Anybody got $1? Oh, they're shaking the captain's hand like you handpicked this woman.
It was his act. Yeah,
they're shaking his hand. He's
Great
her job,
manager.
Captain. Great job. He's like, yes, this is all my idea. Look at these guys. Everybody's grabbing him. Like,
how did you discover her?
She was at the bottom of a hamper. Oh man. So that's that. And okay, now we get the drama. Like now we have to wrap up the main story here, the drama of
so Bill Bixby and Maureen are on the deck, and he goes to get her a brandy. And as he goes to get her a brandy, Doc shows up and finds her and mentions to her that the lab screwed up the x-rays, that the operation's back on.
Some idiot screwed up the x-rays, I believe he says. Some idiot
at the lab.
It might have been some idiot intern or something like that. But and so now he says the operation can go on.
She's staring at Doc. She doesn't understand why he's saying this to her, where this is even coming from, because she had no idea that the operation was postponed or canceled at that point.
Because Bruce Banner never told her, or David Banner, sorry.
David Banner, yeah.
David Banner on the TV show, because
Dr. McGee told her.
Well, Bruce Banner, they thought was too gay in 1977, so they changed to David Banner. Did you know that?
Oh, no.
That's why he was David Banner on the show, even though it was Bill Bixby Jesus Christ.
We'll fix that in post.
Even though he was Bruce Banner in the comics, he was David Banner on the show because I guess ABC or someone thought that Bruce was not a cool enough name for their superhero to have.
I could see that possibly.
Can you really see that?
No, I'm not saying that it's true, but I could see that happening in the 70s.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so now Maureen is confronting Bill Bixby about what Doc just told her, and she's basically saying that he's trying to marry her out of pity.
I mean, listen, I got married out of pity too, all right? It happens. Most men get married out of pity. If it was any woman's choice, I mean, no woman's marrying anybody if they're smart about it. But this woman's now saying the shoe's on the other hand right now and saying that she's getting married out of pity. Wait a minute,
the shoe's on the...
So, yeah, she doesn't want to get married because it's a pity marriage.
It's a pity marriage. But basically, Bill Bixby then tells her, he's like, how am I supposed to tell the woman that I love that she can't get this operation and she's never going to be able to walk again?
Now, this isn't a really good effect shot here because you can see on his face more than her face the shimmering of the water off, like the water shimmy kind of. I wonder, obviously they're not really on a boat here. I wonder if they're like someone standing there with
a piece
of,
right there on his
piece
ears,
of aluminum
like
foil
mirror,
just sitting there.
Like
It's just like the shimmy and the lights and the lights hitting the water. So anyway, actually, they might be on a real boat.
That's nice, though.
They're really trying to make you buy into trying to make you buy into the reality that this is really happening. So now they reconcile. He says, "Listen."
So she's saying that he has no guts. He's marrying her out of pity. He says that he had no guts to tell her that she would never walk again. He loves her, no matter which way she is, on wheels, on stilts, or a pogo stick. Now that is true love.
Did you really say that?
I have it here.
How do I miss all these good lines,
pogo
man?
Stick.
I was
Brian,
sober
do you
watching
remember that one, Brian?
I gotta maybe do a second watch on these things because I'm missing all the choice lines. Obviously,
she tells him that she's getting the operation and that she's going to need somebody to hold her hand afterwards and to love and
probably change her bedpan and stuff like that for a while.
Yeah, and to maybe make dinner plans for her and Chrissy Everett.
Oh, Chrissy Everett. They're going out. My first introduction to Chris Everett was she was Chris Everett Lloyd when I first knew her. She was married at the time. I remember she was Chris Everett Lloyd, and then she went back to Chris Everett once she divorced Mr. Lloyd.
Yes.
I don't know his first name. And I remember having a hard time with that.
Didn't she marry Greg Lloyd, the old Steeler?
So,
but that's a nice little...
they're still reconciling here. See, I mean, these two have gotten the gigantic chunk of this episode. Like they're getting
I guess you have to. I mean, that's the big star here, right? Yeah. I think that's bigger than Milton.
The Hulk's on at the time, so Bill Bixby's huge at this time, but they get 5, 6, 8 minute chunks of time. Milton Berle gets like a 1 minute.
Gotcha.
And then Milton Berle, maybe that's what he wanted. He's like, I'll give you 10 minutes. You got me for 10 minutes. Make it worth it.
So now it looks like the boat's back in Los Angeles, and we see Uncle Milty and Mrs. Roper,
and they are greeted by
Isaac and a
12-year-old boy who is obviously their grandson, and then he is introduced as their son. And I looked it up. Milton Berle was 70 at this time, and Mrs. Roper was 60 at this time. So they were 40.
So she had him at 48,
and he was 60.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they started way late. And she said they were married for 20 years, so they could have had this kid 20 years ago, but they decided to be married. And they might have other kids. You never know. But I found this child.
I think if you make this the grandson, it plays better.
I found this child being their kid very disturbing. And, of course, the kid wants to take...
The camera squirts water.
Yeah, he wants to take a picture, and he squirts water, and he's like, that's my boy, because he's a complete asshole. Like, you know,
and it's the best joke that you can come up with.
You know what?
Jokes,
that's the best joke on the ship so far. The kid has done the best joke with the squirting camera. But as soon as he said, I want to take your picture, I was like, oh, yeah, this is going to squirt water in their face. But whatever. The kid's 12 years old.
Yeah.
These jokes are aimed at 12-year-olds, and Milton Berle's 70, still doing them.
I mean,
so stupid.
Then we get Gopher and Julie talking to Bill Bixby and his soon-to-be bride, and they were talking about the wedding plans.
Oh, right. They said they're all invited, but they have to have the operation first, and then she has to play at Wimbledon or something like that. They say something about that. I mean, she's going from a wheelchair to Wimbledon. It took Monica Seles like 10 years to come back from getting stabbed once. This girl's going to have an operation and be back the next day.
Come on.
Guys like had Tommy John surgery and missed like 3 years. Now it's like they miss a week and a half.
Yeah. So Doc and Gopher are waiting with April, and they said they're waiting for Captain Stubing and Julie to come back.
Because now they have to dispense maritime justice now on her. Now she's like, they're going to...
And Charo's asking, is she going to jail? Is she going to be part of the Change Gang?
Change Gang. See, that? Okay, we're making fun of her English here. Yeah, Change Gang,
Change Gang.
Good catch there, because that's what I was referring to before with no examples. You pulled one up.
And Stubing says, no, she doesn't have to work or anything. It's not like that. She's going to be working. She's part of the crew now. She's going to entertain, but on a different ship.
Right. Well, you can't have her on the boat with Doc. Doc, I mean, she'll be pregnant within a week if Doc's on the boat with her. That's not going to last. So now he says, she's going to work on a boat, which is weird because she's
how much she's going to make for
$300 a week, which in 1978 I think was good money. I'm sure I wasn't making that. Well, not in 1978, but maybe 1988. I was probably making about $300 a week.
Not bad, though.
But she's an illegal alien. How can they put her on another boat? Like, unless it's a boat that goes in and out of Mexico or something like that.
Is that what Stubing was doing? Maybe he was getting her working papers.
Maybe I guess she got a working visa or something like that. And now he says that she has to pay for her room for the stowaway fee will be deducted out of her first paycheck or whatever. And she's like, do I get the employee discount or something like that? And I was kind of shocked that
she knew what an employee discount was.
Just the fact that they were going to charge her. I get it. It's just for the show. It's a joke. Haha. But
I mean,
the fact that he's going to make her pay for
she already performed too for free, right?
That's right. She did work. And her room was actually Doc's room. He pays for that. Doc doesn't pay for it, but it's part of being the doctor. You don't think they have to pay for their rooms, right? The crew. That's part of the.
I don't think they should have to.
It's definitely part of it. It's definitely part of working there, and that's it. So now, I guess the only question I have going forward is Charo, when she's on the show another 9 times, is she going to be April? Is she going to be the same character?
I read that out of the 10 times that she's on the show, 9 of them she's April.
So they gave her another character at one point. They didn't figure she had to stretch her acting ability and kind of do. And notice at the end there, everybody's there. No Isaac. Doc's there. Gopher, Julie, Doc, or Captain. No Isaac.
Well, real quick for next week, one of the 3 episodes is Isaac the Groupie.
Are we getting an Isaac heavy episode?
Isaac the Groupie. So, and real quick, let's see. Special guest cast in this one we got Diane Carroll.
Oh, okay. I wonder if that's who's going to be
Jim Neighbors.
Nice. Oh, that's going to be a hard one.
And that looks like about it that we know.
Really? That's it, huh?
There's some other names, but off the top, I don't think I know who they are. Maybe when we look them up a little more, but
it's so funny. Man, this is going to be a tough one. I have to do Gomer Pyle and not just like do Gomer Pyle and just talk about Jim Neighbors in general.
Guy had a great voice.
Very good singer. Yeah, for sure.
This has been exciting and new podcast episode number 5. I'm Jason.
I'm Andy.
And I'm Brian.
He has to turn on his stupid mic.
See you.